Let's speak to Joshua Landis. He's the director for the Center of Middle East Studies at the University of Oklahoma. Joshua, good to have you with us. The offensive on Raqqa was brutal, wasn't it? The stated aim was to annihilate Daesh in Syria. Was that achieved?
Yes. Yes. Well, you know, the United States has made a very clear distinction between stabilizing Raqqa and rebuilding. And it says it will not rebuild. It will stabilize, which means clearing the area, reopening schools, getting rid of bombs, and bringing electricity back to the city. But as far as rebuilding, they have no intention of doing that.
But as far as the goal, the offensive on Raqqa was supposed to, of course, it was an Islamic State stronghold. The offensive was supposed to get rid of Daesh, but in fact there was a deal done. Daesh fighters were allowed to leave the city. The deal was done by coalition forces and Kurdish fighters. So, in the end, was the goal achieved? Because you've ended up with a city that's been reduced to rubble.
You're right. Most of those, I presume, most of those ISIS members who got away to the east have been captured by now. There's almost 1,000 in jail in northern Syria, and the Kurds are demanding that the nations that they belong to take them back, which seems unlikely at this point. But you're right. These cities, like Mosul, like Raqqa, have been completely destroyed. And the United States is withholding this area from the Syrian government in order to destabilize it, the Syrian government. They are hoping that this will drive out Assad from power, which seems unlikely at this point because he's quite firmly entrenched in Damascus.
In terms of international criticism, when it comes to civilian casualties, the US and the UK both taking part in that bombardment on Raqqa, they both say they avoided civilian casualties. Amnesty International, of course, is saying something very different. It's saying that there were many, many civilian casualties because of the offensive on Raqqa. Is there a push to hold Western forces accountable for those civilian deaths?
A push by whom? No, there is not a push to hold them accountable. They dominate, of course, as we know, the UN Security Council, where this effort would have to start. And no, there is no effort to hold them accountable.
So there's no appetite to hold anyone accountable, and there's no appetite to rebuild Raqqa. So as far as the people who live in Raqqa are concerned, is that it? They're just being left to fend for themselves?
It does seem that way. And it's extremely hard to help people. I've been trying to send money to a friend in Deir ez-Zor. His house is stripped. It looks like one of those over there. Every piece of metal and wire was stripped out of it by people scavenging for something to sell. And he's trying to rebuild for his family. And it's so difficult to send money into Syria because the sanctions are layered on. No bank will do business. It's a terrible tragedy, and the world is turned away from Raqqa today, and people are going to have to pick up the pieces the best they can, I guess.
Indeed, Joshua, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Joshua Landis there.